Hello, everyone. Today I'm going to be talking about how we can be cleaning the oceans while also be building up small communities. So I'm sure that we've all heard about the growing amount of plastic waste being left in the oceans. These days, it's kind of hard not to hear about it. And if you don't hear about it on a regular basis, you probably already know about it at least. This is for good reason, obviously, because there is a lot of trash out there and it is a big issue that we need to be focusing on. But if you're anything like me, the constant talk of pollution making its way into our oceans and all of the destruction that it causes, it kind of begins to lose its meaning, or at least the punch that it really has after hearing about it for so often. And it's not that we don't care about it. I know for myself that I care about it a lot. This kind of thing is interesting and I'm passionate about it. But all of the talk about the impending doom for our environment and for the oceans without a real talk about what we can be doing to prevent it or a solution, it takes more out of me emotionally than what I can afford. However, I've been seeing a lot of positive news in regards to this issue on social media recently about various organizations and individuals who are working together to combat this crisis and actually succeeding in fighting it. So I decided to look more into this issue, and once I did, I came across an organization called ByFusion that teams up with other nonprofits such as Ocean Pickup to collect plastic waste from the oceans and to repurpose it into building materials for cheap yet high quality, low income housing. It's fantastic. So what is ByFusion, you might ask? Well, that's a wonderful question. It's a nonprofit organization that marks a new way for looking at the plastic ocean waste crisis by repurposing it into building materials and for city and building development. The following is going to be an introduction to ocean waste. What is it? And to ByFusion. What is that? How does it work? How do they clean the oceans, and why is it important? While also repurposing the marine debris and plastic waste. So let's talk about what the purpose is of having an organization like this. According to Kelly Meyer in the Better World Campaign's September of 2011 article entitled UN Environment, Meet the UN Agency Protecting the Only Planet We've Got. So according to this, the number of individual pieces of plastic in the ocean is going to outnumber the amount of fish in the ocean by the year 2050 if nothing is done to prevent and halt the waste being thrown into the oceans and to clean the oceans because there's trash already there. Now, this is an article from 2011, which at this point is 10 years ago. So I'm sure that by now that prediction of 2050 is probably a lot closer than it was back then. But according to a 2018 article, or census, there were roughly 5 trillion pieces of plastic waste in the world's oceans, and, quote, the vast majority of it comes from the world's poorest countries where proper disposal or recycling is largely impossible. So as most of us already know, this plastic waste, it gets eaten by animals, it injures them, they can get trapped in it, and it's distributed all over the planet, from as far north as Greenland and Alaska to as far south as Antarctica. So it's literally from pole to pole. So at first, some large animals might eat this on accident, but as this trash piles up, the sunlight needed for photosynthesis for certain types of bacteria, it's blocked out. So those bacteria start to die. Then the things that eat those bacteria, like plankton, for example, those things start to die because they're starving. There's not enough food because the things that eat the sun cannot get sunlight because of the plastic waste in the ocean. So this cycle of starvation built up and up and up throughout the food chain. Eventually, it will reach humanity. That is inevitable. We cannot help it. A 2018 article that I read from the Worldwide Wildlife Fund outlined how the plastic waste in the oceans gets there and what it does once it's there. And one of the more important things that they were talking about was the issue of microplastic, because when the plastic gets into the oceans and when it's in landfills, etc., it does degrade. And the smallest, even when it gets to the smallest point, it becomes what is called a microplastic. So microplastics cannot be degraded any farther. So at that stage, it gets lodged in coral. And from there, the plankton can eat the microplastics and cause illness and death in animals all the way up the food chain, including humans. And it affects some humans today. This is not something that's predicted to happen in the future. It's something that does happen today. So this daunting and morbid reality of the plastic waste causing horrible effects on the environment and on human beings is one which may make us feel powerless as individuals to be able to fix the issue, but there are solutions. As I mentioned before, ByFusion provides a solution that would both clean the oceans and also have other positive effects, which would most likely incentivize more people to help them clean the oceans. ByFusion partnered with Ocean Voyages Institute to, quote, close the loop on the largest ocean cleanup in history by not only removing plastic waste from our oceans, but by giving it a permanent purpose by converting it into building material that can then be used for modular structures, landscaping, sheds, outdoor spaces, and a number of other applications. So what they do is they use the ByFusion blocker, which is it's a machine that turns plastic waste into new saleable product while simultaneously reducing the environmental devastation caused by plastic in the oceans and in landfills. They use a three-step process in which they take discarded plastic that is collected from landfills and also communities before they throw it away. The plastic is shredded, and then it's superheated and fused together into ByBlocks. ByFusion, the company, sources projects to help develop a local market for ByBlocks, assists with deliveries of those ByBlocks, and brings new jobs and growth to neighborhoods. Specifically, this would be beneficial for neighborhoods that do not have a lot of money or income. So this is a global problem that can be solved locally. So a machine that ByFusion uses is available to waste management companies, municipalities, governments, and environmentally conscious corporations around the world. In 2019, ByFusion traveled to the island community of Lihue, Kauai, Hawaii, to build a school out of the washed up plastics and debris which had previously been plaguing the community. The ByFusion blockers are custom to each community's specific waste problems. So they started in 2017 to figure out what types of waste that they had. So then they collected the waste from the beaches and the surrounding waters of Lihue, as well as taking post-consumer waste. They mixed all of that together, they shredded it up, and they put it through the machine. Then this created the custom ByBlocks, which were then stacked together on long rods. The Island School project alone has utilized 2.4 tons of plastic waste from that community alone, which was previously burdensome upon them, and it has made a significant stride in the fight to solve global plastic waste issues. So this process of taking the waste recycles the unrecyclable without sorting or pre-washing. It requires no chemicals, additives, adhesives, or fillers. It scales to meet the volume demands of any recycling facility, and it reduces the stress of waste management and recycling infrastructure while creating new jobs. Fantastic. If we were to fix this issue, and by fix the issue, I don't mean like eliminate pollution, because at this point, that's kind of not something that we can do at the moment. But if we are able to implement a process like ByFusion with these ByBlocks, etc., by basically using plastic waste from the oceans to build new houses, build schools, community centers, whatever you want, this would protect our planet, our oceans, our waterways, and our wildlife from the trash that would otherwise be thrown away. It creates new jobs and housing for low-income communities, and there is a new abundant resource for city development, which would be especially good for impoverished nations. This would also clean out the oceans and landfills while healing the earth and the environment. If we did not do this and we found no solution for the increasing amount of pollution and plastic waste in our oceans, more animals will die, the environment will starve until humans live in a bleak reality in which the earth is unlivable and they inhabit a trash-covered wasteland. And then it would be human children, not seal cubs, not polar bears, not other animals that are eating this plastic waste and living among trash. But the fact is, like I'm telling you, there are solutions, and this is one of them, and it's one that we have to support. Like, it's a fantastic solution to an increasingly daunting problem. So here's their contact information, if you wish to contact them. But you can also write to your city council and to your local community leaders to figure out how your community can start using these ByFusion blocker machines to create local jobs and provide easy to make and affordable housing quickly. By supporting ByFusion and bringing it to your community, not only are you making a better, cleaner place for you and your friends to live, but you're saving your future self, children, descendants, and all life on Earth from a grim reality of being consumed by literal garbage. So I hope this introduction to ByFusion will lead you to choose life, choose happiness, and choose to heal your community and the world by choosing ByFusion. Thank you.